name is Russell Scott from scottcarvings.com, and I got a brand new, at this point during this video, of a rough out. It's a Mr. and Mrs. Claus rough out, and it just came in, and I thought, well, I got to create a go by. So I thought, well, while I'm creating the go by, I might as well do a video on it and see what happens and see how it turns out. Now, what I have here is sort of like round one, as it were. As you see in some of my videos, there's so many rounds. You go versions, I guess, is the best way to put it. This one here is somewhat the same, but a little taller. Maybe she's a little thinner, but it's like Mrs. Claus can be thinner. Mr. is always got to be relatively large. Now, one of the things that I tell people is when they do roughouts, and that's why this is important for all your roughouts, is you receive and you get your pictures and all this, and you receive your rough out and you buy your roughouts, and you're ready to go, and you got your tools and so on and so forth. The most important tool to have, in fact, the first tool you'll use is a pencil. And what we're going to do is I'm going to jump ahead. Like I said, I got this started, and I thought, well, let's make a video out of it. And so what I did was I found all the creases, and I put the pencil marks in there. The reason why I have the pencil marks in, like I said, I got started here. Put the pencil marks in all the creases is that you're going to do that, and then step number 2 is we're going to take the V tool, and we're going to cut around where we just made those. So now you're going to take the pencil marks right back off again. The reason why we do this, that we should do this, is one of the things I learned interesting, not from a teacher, but from a student. There are some students, is that I took a rough out class with, I don't know if I can do any name dropping, but anyways, I got his rough out and was taking his class, and I realized one of the students, what he was doing was he was just carving away, and all of a sudden the arm and all the details start to disappear, and it turned into a blob, almost like like a block of wood. And so that's what I told him. I figured that out right away, and that's what I do. Step 1, pencil. Step 2, V-cut all the pencil marks out. And I got this mostly started. So, and like I said, this is a very brand new, you're watching me actually making the go-by here. This is the go-by that you'll see on my scottcarvings.com. Pencil. And one of the things that's very interesting is you probably could use this video with another rough out. I've done this before. I think it was a Harley Refsaw video. We had his, was it Charlie Oscar or something like that. And I did get the cutout for that Charlie Oscar, and I went along and carved away. And then I had a cutout of his, what they call it, the Pie Lady, I believe. And I actually rewound it. Well, you know, DVD, you don't rewind it. But start from the beginning. And even though he was carving the Charlie Oscar, I kind of translated what he did. And that's why I was thinking this could still be a pretty decent video for all your, or most all of your rough outs. And so I believe I got a good chunk, and I am sorry I went ahead. That's the reason why I got ahead, and I thought, well, let's just make a video out of this. And that's why, and I have another, I probably could use some of my other rough outs too as a video, but I like to start from scratch on most, but I thought I'd at least do one or two of my rough outs. Now, before we begin, I'm going to let you know my cat, Ethel, is on the board here, so let's hope she behaves. Ethel is our cat number 2. Cat number 1 is, if you can, for all you old timers, if her name is Lucy. Lucy and Ethel. Anyways, I want to leave, even though I'll put this in here. Just put that in there. I want to leave the faces alone. I always do the faces last, mostly. I'm a wood carver who likes to carve from the inside out, where others like to carve from the outside in. And that's okay, whether or which way is best for you. The reason why I like to inside out is I aim everything with the face and the nose, and especially mostly with the face, and everything else will fit around the head. Whereas some people would like the outside in, because then they've got they know what the size of the head is going to be, and then they'll shape the eye according to the outside of the head. Whereas if you go inside out, sometimes your head might get too big or too small. But I prefer the inside out better, because everything just goes from the center, which is the nose. We've always let's draw our center line in. Now, center line is not so much going from top to bottom, straight down. In this particular carving, and most other carvings may, his head is tilted in. Her head is tilted in towards each other, so it's not straight up and down. Same with the body. The body goes out a little bit. Hers goes out a little bit, but it could still be almost as straight up and almost. So, looks like the back will be pretty easy. The bottom, now when we get to the hands, that's going to be a little difficult. I do want to do the same thing here, where she's just kind of putting her hands together. So hands is going to be kind of like, I would say, kind of near the end, but I just want to get the feel for things with just with the body. Take the knife and see how the knife works on this carving. Now I'm still going to end up with the hand here, but I gave an extra here if you prefer to have like him holding something, maybe a flower or candy cane or something. The other thing is, it is out of reach. I will probably talk about it another time. Is the Character Carvers of America has got a book out on carving, taking a rough out and making it different. And so I believe in that too. You can make this thing a little different or a lot different. And that's why I like to add a little something. But anyways, let's get carving. Now comes the boring part. Sometimes I like to start with the top. And with the knife, what I do with my rough outs is I like to cut that little extra off for the reason why. 2 reasons why is, of course, I can get more rough outs in the box for transport. The other is that, of course, I teach this, and I like to help with the time, usually we got to, sometimes it's a weekend, but other times it's just a day. And as any time we can speed things up. And again, as I've always complained, is that when I teach and I'm carving, I'm actually stretching out, and so that's why it might be a little difficult. You know, if I sit here normally, I'd be carving like this, and of course that's not very, I want to say, artistic, or let's move in a little bit here. And it's a matter of just cleaning it up. That's what all your instructors, your rough out instructors, you just clean to start with. And in the beginning of my teaching, I would say career, if you will, is that I never wanted to get into roughouts because I was always a teacher. I wanted to take cutouts and a block of wood and how you can start from scratch. But I have found that most wood carvers are more interested, especially when it comes to the big roundups and stuff like that, these big classes, is that people like to go away from the class with something in their hand, something done or almost done. And I've always wanted to teach, so finally I just broke down, and now I got a line of roughouts. And when I do teach, I teach the eyes, how to do the eyes, how to do the mouth, and so on, and nose, ears, and use a block of wood, a step-by-step. Now this one I want to add a little extra, I don't say where it comes out, instead of it just coming straight down. Some of the times, what are the things that I've learned from, not only from instructors, and I always believe that you gotta, no matter how good, bad, middle, indifferent, always, whenever you have a chance to get a class and listen to the instructors and his point of view, and then you go from there. And another thing that I like to do is look at other figurines, and not so much copying. Sometimes I would, just for the sake of understanding the art, or his art, or her art, how they see, especially Santa Clauses. Like I said, I want to stay away from the head here. Maybe a little bit with the beard. I like starting from the top, because when I start, I always sharpen my knife. You sharpen your knife when you start, and then while it's the sharpest, that's when I want to go against the grain. So getting back to the figurines, is not so much I want to copy straight, but it's more like I would get a bunch of figurines, and I like the way that this hand goes this way, and I like the way that leg goes that way, and I like the way that this is the Santa or whatever is carrying this thing, and it's a great idea to add this, and great idea to add that, and that's where I get a lot of my inspiration from. And of course, pictures from the internet, like mostly either artist's conception of a Santa Claus or whatever you're going to carve. you know, a policeman or a Fayette instructor or whatever, and a hockey player and all that. But you get a point of view of another artist's conception of what he or she is thinking, and I like that. Just it's not so much we always got to learn how to handle the knife, how to cut the wood clean, yada yada, all that stuff. But I just like to see how somebody else does things, how they look at things, different way of characters, or cartoonizing. I'm starting to put the first round of sharp cuts, shadow cuts. Now, a lot of that might go away when we start doing the hair. See, but I always see how the shadow, that adds to that. The hair, I'm just going to give it a quick brush just to get the, not the saw marks, what do you call it, the router marks off, because the hair is imperfect. I've said that several times. If you have a slip of the knife when you're doing the hair, it doesn't matter. Just fix it the best you can. I got some chatter here, which doesn't matter. Of course, like I said, it's always imperfect. All right, I'm going to move on to the arm here. I'm going to start rounding it off for now. We'll put in other details later. And I got to tell you, it is hard to... I have another glove that has the rubber that holds on better. I mean, I like this glove better because it really lasts a long time. But the glove with the rubber dots, you can hold on better, true, but it leaves a lot of black marks. And the thing that's this is a different rough out is that I think this is my flattest rough out. Everything else is in the round. Sometimes I like to clean right away so I don't have to come back again. But it's just because if you miss a spot, it's not like a big deal. And you'll notice I'm doing the, if I'm not, how far was I off? I was doing the, here, let me do the cutting towards myself, but I got this thumb in the way here, and I'm always just taking little chips. I mean, I'm not like this and cutting towards myself. I mean, I will do something close to that. And now when it comes to the hand, is like we're just taking the outside off. Now, if you are planning to have a rough out that will have a hand close and will have holding something, what you want to do is you want to just clean it up a little bit. Leave it as a blob, and then put your hole in, drill the hole in next, and then you carve the fingers around after that. Because I've learned the hard way is you make a nice hand there. It looks beautiful hand. Then get the drill in there and snap. Moving on to the chest area here. Now you gotta remember we got that tuft. So I'll just take some of the, am I still in the camera? Okay. most of the time I don't pay attention. I'm just paying attention to what I'm carving here. Don't you hate that audacity of, you made the cuts? That should pop out of there. There, get out of there. Now this is going to be a little difficult. We're going to have to use a chisel. And not only am I going to clean. See, this particular spot, you'll notice how it's low, high, and low because of the bit didn't get in there as well as I wanted to. So I might end up taking just a little bit more off just to even out, to make sure it is about as even. Now the thing is this particular rough out, I don't think I gave enough wood. That I think, unless you want to dig in deep, if you choose to, is to have him, you bring the pencil down and you bring this over in the hand and come down like this, like he's holding onto his coat. In the coat, and you bring the coat in a little this way and out, like he's holding on to the coat, or you could probably even open it up. But this, he just has a hand out like that. And that's all he's doing. All right, moving around. Do I want to move around or do I want to move? Yeah, let's move around. Now here, we don't have to get, right now, we don't have to get too deep. But of course the hair, it's hard to hold on to. I'm almost tempted to take this glove off. And you know how that goes. The second I take the glove off, the second you take your seat belt off, something's going to happen. I might do that later on, but right now I also have other gloves. You've seen me for my other videos. I have these black gloves, and they're just garden gloves, and they got the spots. And I might be tempted to get. It's not particularly a carving. I mean, if there's a slip, I don't know. Would it really matter if you have that glove on or you have no glove at all? But might get close to that because, like I said, this is the whitest. Oops, wrong way. Watch the green. And like I said, I got my thumb in the way here when I'm cutting towards myself. A lot of times when I cut towards myself like this, I think of one particular wood carver we had in one of our clubs. He's a firm believer of you take this and you put it on one of those tripods, and then you use your tools, and you always are carving away from, it's on the machine or whatever, and then you got two hands to do whatever, and you always carve away. And I remember every time he would demonstrate that at one of our wood carving shows with the spectators come by, I could see in his face, it's almost like, you carve away like this, you get your hand out of the way, and he would look into the crowd as if he's waiting for somebody to dare tell him that he was wrong. You carve away from you. And I believe in it basically, but I'm not gonna, I do most of my carvings on my lap. But anyways, he is basically right, but I'm going around it. Now that Santa, he's got the tuft here. I call it tuft. What is it? This sleeve or And I think I can hold this better if it was on my lap. And I really don't know. I think I've tried camera angles to put it on my lap, but I prefer not to. Kind of have it out so you can see it a lot better. That, and this is, I want to say, the premiere of me using my S9 phone as the camera. I finally retired my last camera. Let me see how it takes. I think it still has the, what do you call it, anti-move. What is this here? If I put my knife here, how would that work? Yeah, my other camera, that really bugged the bejeebers on a little bit, where I would move this and then this would move, even though this is stationary. And it would just look like I'm kicking the table, and it always bugged me, and I would assume it bugged you guys too. But moving along. So let's see how the S9, it's looking through the screen, it's much clearer. I love the clearer, brighter. Yeah, at this point, in where this video is being took, is my new book published by Fox Chapel is out. Carving Undercover Santas. I will later on, I will take that all out and show you. I just want to keep moving here. Make sure everything is that you can see. Now this Santa, I want to flatten the hand a little bit. See, that's what he's got here. The hand on her shoulder is flattened. Whoops, there we go. Instead of it being up and down, it would be more flat. I think I'll work with that later. I just want to, again, I'm going to do just a little bit of her hair, just to remove. We will fix that later. Or perfect it later. And while we're here, we'll just finish her, clean up her hat a little bit. Her, I don't know, is that still a hat? Sort of like a, well, she's in a robe here, sort of, kind of, robe dress. And she's got that, what do you call it? Is that a hat? What's on her head is this kind of weird nighttime hat or something. Or that was one of the ideas that actually is one of the other wood carver instructors you see on YouTube. Oh, I can't remember the name. And if he's watching, he'll probably be offended that I didn't remember his name, but the possibility of doing virtual wood carving clubs. In other words, on the computer. So it's live. Instead of YouTube, it's live. And get a bunch of students and have a multi-camera or multi-screen, you know, and who's doing what. And, you know, somebody's got a question, how do you do that? And then he can turn the camera on and bring it up to the lens, and, you know, this way and that way. And I think it's a great idea. I wonder if it, or unless it's happening and I have no idea, I'm not paying attention to. In this, right now, it's early the next year. I should have went to her top here too, a sharper knife. For me, August, like I've mentioned before, August to December, everything is shut down. I do Santa Clauses for the shows. And so it's early in the year. And so that's why I'm kind of getting started back doing videos and other odds and ends. I got book number 2. I'm trying to get ready for Fox Chapel. Now here I want to be careful. I'm going to do a little bit. Her dress is going to be a little different than his. It's just kind of almost like a cone shape, and then it's going to cut here, and then it's going to go back up this way. And I just want to kind of clean it for now and get my bearings a little bit. So I don't want to pry either. I did just pried it up. I don't like prying the knife. Maybe I should get this kind of started. Should have penciled that in. She's this way. It's like this. Oops. It's down. There we go. And this is up, because she's tilted. I don't know. What is that? A collar? I mean, sure, probably is a collar, like almost like a turtleneckish kind of a thing. Be careful around the throat. Like I said, I don't want to play with the head yet. Whenever you're doing a figure that does not have a beard, woman, Indian, whatever, be careful when you get around the throat area, because that from here, the chin is always straight down. And don't carve at an angle like this. Straight down. See if I'm still in? Okay, then and we'll get to that again later. Just smooth this out a bit. And this is going to come down. I want to make sure she does, maybe not right now, but like I said, kind of cleaning up before we start making the major details, is I still want her to have that girlish, kind of semi-girlish figure. I might have to take some of this off here because the router bit didn't get in there, couldn't get in there. And again, I will play with that later. So she still have that kind of girly figure. Let's get into the arm. The hand comes up. And like I said, if you have any other rough out, you can almost translate this. In other words, if you have a cowboy or I don't know if it'll work with the animals a little bit. Maybe it will. But for sure, with the human figures, rough outs, it'll almost translate. And you watch. Just trim the arm a little. Watch where that tip of the knife doesn't dig too deep.